Schizoaffective disorder is a complex condition that combines symptoms of schizophrenia and mood disorders. This video will explore the personal experiences of those living with this diagnosis and the societal stigma that often accompanies it. When I tell people I have schizoaffective disorder, I notice their reactions. It's subtle. A little step back, a pause in the conversation, and suddenly their look changes. In that moment, I go from being Frank, the person they were just chatting with, to Frank, the diagnosed. It's like the real me disappears and I'm reduced to just my symptoms. But here's the thing, I'm not my diagnosis. Schizoaffective disorder is a mix of schizophrenia and mood disorders. It shapes how I see the world and manage my feelings. Some days everything feels too loud and bright, while on others I hear whispers that only I can hear, or I feel so low that getting out of bed is a huge struggle. Despite these ups and downs, I get up every day. I brush my teeth, care about my family, worry about bills, laugh at corny jokes, and cry during sad movies. I'm simply human, messy, complicated, and perfectly imperfect. Stigma and daily life. The stigma around mental illness is more than just personal bias. It's in our culture. It's ingrained in the phrases we use and the stories we tell. When someone says that's so crazy about something unpredictable, they're not just being casual. They're pushing the idea that mental illness means chaos and should be avoided. I have to live in a world that sees my condition as either too disabling or made up. It's like there's no middle ground. I'm either too sick to be part of society or not sick enough for people to get it. The truth is, there's a lot more to it than that. On my toughest days, when hallucinations twist reality and depression feels like a weight too heavy to bear, I still show up. I love my cat, worry about the environment, and get frustrated when drivers don't use their turn signals. My mental illness doesn't take away my humanity, it just adds to the mix. Many don't realize how much effort it takes to get through the day with schizoaffective disorder. Every conversation feels calculated. I rehearse discussions in my head, trying to read body language and tone, wondering if someone's smile is real or fake. I keep track of things like, am I speaking too fast or too loud? Does this story make sense? Are they looking at me oddly because of something I said, or is my paranoia just getting the best of me? Adaptation and media portrayals of schizoaffective disorder often shape public perception. These portrayals can either challenge or reinforce societal stigma. It's crucial to understand the impact they have on those living with the condition. The meds I take come with their own challenges. Some days my brain is so foggy that thinking clearly feels like wading through mud. Other days, I might shake so badly that I avoid drinking coffee in public, fearing people will notice. But here's the cool thing about people. We adapt. I've learned to type instead of write when I can't control my hands and come up with grounding techniques when things get shaky. It's not just survival, it feels like a kind of art. The media often showcases people like me as dangerous or hopeless. Those exaggerated portrayals miss the everyday truth of our lives. They don't show me making breakfast, texting my sister to wish her a happy birthday, or feeling awkward in a conversation. They skip over the moments when I'm just Frank, living life like everyone else. Yes, I have tough days. Days when I feel paranoid or when depression tells me I wouldn't be missed. But I also have good days, when I feel connected and genuinely happy. The danger of defining people by their worst moments is real and widespread. We don't judge people solely by their worst behaviors, yet somehow, when it comes to mental illness, our most symptomatic moments seem to take center stage. Personal experiences with schizoaffective disorder often lead to feelings of isolation. Many individuals feel disconnected from those around them, struggling to find understanding and support. It's a deeply personal journey marked by moments of profound loneliness and the challenge of navigating a world that doesn't always understand their reality. I remember my first psychotic episode in public. It happened in a grocery store when the lights seemed to call my name. A kind worker noticed I was struggling and helped me call for a ride. I felt so embarrassed, thinking everyone would remember me as that crazy person. But when I returned weeks later, that same worker greeted me with warmth and concern. I realized then that my worst day hadn't labeled me in his eyes. It simply showed I needed help, just like anyone else might. Here's the kicker. While I want to connect with others, I often want to retreat. Social anxiety heightens my symptoms, making me overly aware of every glance and every pause. I second-guess every interaction, worried that I've messed up in some way. When someone learns about my diagnosis, I feel the change. Suddenly, my quirky comments get viewed through their new lens. My humor turns inappropriate, and my passion comes off as manic. I stop being just Frank with interesting ideas and become Frank, who needs to be treated with kid gloves. This shift leads to isolation. The more I pull back to avoid judgment, the worse my symptoms get. Breaking this cycle takes a lot of courage, the kind that comes from being vulnerable even when it feels risky. I've learned that sharing my story is a balancing act. With some, I can be open about my struggles. They listen without judgment and treat my mental health like just another part of me. With others, I've learned to keep things close to my chest, sharing only what's necessary to keep the relationship going. Sadly, I have to think twice before being honest about what I'm going through. But until things change in society, navigating this will remain part of my reality. Words carry weight, especially when talking about mental health. I can't count how many times someone has told me to just think positive. These well-meaning suggestions often imply that my struggles are optional or that I'm not trying hard enough. This language of dismissal can be really damaging. Statements like "everyone gets sad sometimes" or "you seem fine to me" downplay my very real experiences, making it seem like I don't need understanding. Seeking understanding and challenging assumptions is crucial. When we take the time to truly listen and empathize, we can break down the barriers that stigma creates. Let's move forward with compassion and open minds. Even worse are the comments meant to inspire, "You're so brave," or "You're an inspiration." While they come from a good place, they still distance me just as much as outright prejudice. They put me on a pedestal that's isolating. What I really crave are simple human phrases. "How are you feeling?" or "Is there anything you need?" These acknowledge my experience without putting it front and center. They treat my mental health like any other part of being human, worthy of respect, but not sensationalism. I don't want your pity or to be the source of your inspiration. I don't want you to tiptoe around me, but I also don't want you to dismiss what I go through. What I really want is simpler yet deeper to be seen as a whole person. Don't assume I can't handle stress or make decisions. Don't speak to me like I'm fragile. But please, also understand that some days are tougher than others, and what might look like rudeness could just be me facing invisible challenges. Fluid reality and workplace experiences. Society often tries to put me in a box with strict labels, unstable or dangerous, but my reality is much more fluid. Some days I'm bursting with creativity, while on other days I can barely keep a conversation going. Both sides of me are valid and deserve respect. In the past, I've had employers question everything about my work once they learned of my diagnosis. Things I was praised for were suddenly viewed through the lens of my mental health, as if that defined my capabilities. This isn't just unfair, it ignores my abilities and worth as a person. On the flip side, I have also worked with people who understood that my mental health was only one part of the picture. They made it easier for me to thrive without making me feel like a burden. They looked at me as a whole person and didn't let my diagnosis define my work. The reality of recovery is complex and often misunderstood. It's not a straight path, and everyone's journey is different. Shared struggles can create a sense of community and understanding, which is invaluable. We must remember that recovery is ongoing, and support can make all the difference. You know, we really love those stories of overcoming adversity, right? The ones where there's a clear beginning, middle, and end. But here's the thing. That's just not how mental health works. Recovery isn't about reaching some finish line. It's about practicing every day and dealing with the ups and downs that life throws at us. I've been in therapy for years, tried lots of meds, developed coping techniques, and built a solid support system. By many standards, I'm doing well. Yet there are still days when I can't trust my own thoughts, or getting out of bed feels, well, impossible. This isn't failure. It's just part of living with a lasting condition. We don't expect people with diabetes to be cured after a while, nor do we shame folks with asthma for needing their inhalers. But when it comes to mental health, we too often expect clear-cut progress and get frustrated when that doesn't happen. The idea of linear recovery sets impossible standards for people like me. It suggests that if I'm not always improving, I must not be trying hard enough. It overlooks the complexity of mental health and treats setbacks like moral failures. In this journey, we find that shared humanity and the courage to connect are vital. It's about understanding that we are not alone and that reaching out can be an act of bravery. Together, we can break down the barriers of isolation and stigma, fostering a community where everyone feels valued and heard. I want folks to see that my recovery looks like showing up despite the chaos. It includes taking my meds, staying connected, and celebrating even the smallest wins without expecting them to last forever. Mental illness doesn't exist alone. Like everyone, I deal with money worries, relationship issues, job troubles, and family drama. The difference is that I face these everyday challenges while managing symptoms that can twist my perspective. If I'm paranoid and my car breaks down, it's not just a hassle. It turns into a worry that someone messed with it. When I'm feeling low and have a fight with a friend, it's not just about the argument. It's about hearing that voice that says I'm unlovable. Every struggle that normal folks deal with is magnified by my condition, but that doesn't mean I can't handle life. It shows my resilience. Connection and authenticity are, fundamental to human experience. For those with schizoaffective disorder, building genuine connections can be, a bit more challenging, but it's no less important. Authentic relationships provide a sense of belonging and support, helping to navigate the complexities of the disorder. The pandemic showed how everyone struggles with isolation, uncertainty, and anxiety. Suddenly, many were experiencing a glimpse of what people like me face regularly, wondering what's real, feeling lonely, and maintaining relationships under stress. During that time, I found myself in the odd spot of helping friends who were struggling. My experiences managing mental health have given me tools that were suddenly useful for others. It highlighted how blurred the lines are between mentally ill and mentally healthy. Despite my instincts wanting me to pull back, I keep trying to connect. Isolation feeds my mental health struggles. The more I retreat, the louder everything gets and the harder it becomes to see things clearly. These little efforts at connection are like lifelines. They remind me I'm a part of the human experience. Connecting doesn't always look how you might think. Sometimes it means showing up but needing to leave early. Other times it's being honest about why I can't hang out instead of making excuses. Sometimes it means accepting help when my pride says I should go it alone. I've learned that authentic connections mean choosing who I let into my life carefully. Not everyone can handle my full story, and that's fine. What matters is finding those who can sit with me in tough moments without trying to change me, and who enjoy my successes without making it a big